Alright everyone, the nation of Israel has decided to shut electricity off to Gaza. Now Gaza has been under a blockade for years. There are shortages of basically everything there, to the point at which it's basically just an open-air prison. It's basically like the Warsaw Ghetto. And the world needs to get real about realizing what's actually fucking happening in Gaza. The West Bank, slightly more stable, still constant problems there. The nation of Israel basically has sat by and turned a blind eye to people who are openly flaunting every resolution made by the UN. Now, the UN's a toothless body anyway. Nobody really fucking cares what the UN says anyway. At least, sane people don't. They just fucking ignore the UN. But the UN has weighed in year after year to tell Israel, you should stop building settlements in the West Bank. That land doesn't actually belong to you. That's Palestine. It's a totally different entity. Many other nations have recognized them, by the way, as sovereign. But with big buddy US, because our politicians here don't really care about the issue, we've seen steadily more and more incursions into the West Bank as Palestinian settlements there are bulldozed and replaced by subsidized Israeli housing, which is only for, Israeli citizens. Which doesn't necessarily mean Jewish individuals. Some of these people are Israeli Arabs or whatever. But primarily, it's a form of imperialism. They're trying to gobble up all of the West Bank. We've got quotes from years ago where people from the past, like Ariel Sharon, are talking about, oh yeah, every hill we occupy when the partition eventually happens is going to remain ours, so we should settle the West Bank. That's been ongoing. It's a slow process. They try to do it sort of under the nose of the international community, but Gaza's way worse. In the West Bank, you have mainly economic abuses. In Gaza, you have essentially a blocked-off little strip of land, heavily, densely populated, reliant, because it can't get any materials to itself due to the blockade, it's reliant upon Israel to supply it electricity. They've already got a shortage of that. They've got shortages of building material, food, and everything else, and then every time that that anyone in any other country says, well, this looks like a fairly miserable situation for the Gazans, don't you think, Israel? The Israelis say, yeah, but Hamas is operating there. We have to block these supplies, because if we give them food, Hamas will just steal the food. If we give them building material, Hamas will take that and use it to reinforce like tunnels into Israel or some shit. Now, I'm not sure how true some of those tales really are. It seems to me like Hamas is full of fuckery, and Netanyahu and his cronies are full of fuckery, and they're primarily trying to siphon off one another's wealth. What it appears to me is that Hamas, strong-arm group as it is, attempts to siphon away anything that's given to Gaza or to the West Bank by the rest of the world. Turkey is notorious for this. Certainly some of these other Arab states within the region are involved. And also some people in Sweden and other parts of Europe that are now majority Muslim. They side with the Palestinians. But then you've got Israel. It does the same thing to the fucking United States. Earmarked money that's not supposed to go to any lethal cause. It's like, oh yeah, it's for human development. It's like, I don't know exactly why we send it over there. It's not like they need that much money. Supposedly, they're the only, developed nation in the region, then why are we giving them so much money? If we care about development, we should give it to Palestine. Give it to Egypt or something like that. The premise doesn't exactly make full sense. And they take that money, and a lot of it ends up going to buying more bombs. And then we give them more weaponry for free. And I oppose it. I don't think, by the way, at this point, with our economy as fucked up as it is, do we really need to be giving aid to anybody in the world? It's like, I think I saw a report the other day. I'm not sure if it's true. I haven't bothered to dig for the link. That like Ethiopia or one of these countries is going to run out of U.S. food aid in a month. And I'm sitting there saying, if we invested into trying to create enough infrastructure for them to have an agricultural economy, we wouldn't need to give them food aid anymore, now would we? What's the fucking point? And then they say, well, yes, but it's good for U.S. businesses because they can export this product and there's less of it on the market, so it's worth more, and then the government just sort of subsidizes it. It props up industries here. Okay, that's fine. You're giving it away for free and subsidizing it with our own tax money. What's the purpose? Oh, we're just going to prop up these big farms. That's fine. But it's taxpayer money doing that. It's not Ethiopian money. It's not Malawian money or Rwandan money or something. You want to help these people. You try to create infrastructure. The same goes for like Gaza. It doesn't matter when our politicians do finally buckle down and say, okay, Israel, take it a little bit more easy on Gaza. Let them have some more concrete. Let them have some more apples or something like that. It doesn't solve the fucking problem. They get this aid, no industry will spring up, and then they're embargoed. They're completely surrounded and blockaded off by Egypt, which works directly with Israel on this topic, and then by Israel. And I think it's a huge humanitarian crisis. I mean, it's appalling. Basically, half of Gaza is nothing more than a bombed-out shell anyway. When they talk about the population density of Gaza, you got to keep in mind there's like a two-mile wide no-go zone around the whole area where Israel will shoot at you if you even approach the zone. So the density is actually even higher as far as the inhabited portion of Gaza. There's a shortage of water. There's certainly a shortage of clean water. Probably isn't any clean water in Gaza. And then you have Hamas operating there. I am still of the mind that if we're going to solve this problem, it may require U.S. involvement in a more direct fashion. That means we may have to occupy the whole region. Now, it's still a tiny region compared to what we're used to dealing with. Why are we dicking around in Afghanistan? Opium? Why don't we march into Israel and Palestine, partition it ourselves? Look, we're the only ones propping Israel up in this venture. We're the only ones doing that. Everybody else in the world is propping up Palestine, saying this is terribly abusive. Why don't we finally work on a solution so there are two fucking states in the region that don't need to be at each other's throats? And everyone of Palestinian origin will be moved to one state. Everyone of Jewish origin will be moved to the other state. No exceptions. We have a split Jerusalem. They can both have it as their capital. Have North Jerusalem and South Jerusalem. West Jerusalem and East Jerusalem. Who fucking cares? Administer the Old City and the Temple Mount as an international site, or as something that the U.S. basically turns into a de facto embassy or something like that. Call it the Peace Mount. Make statues. Have some modern artists go up and graffiti on the Western Wall. It doesn't really matter what happens. But if you want peace in the region, allowing Israel to do things like this is unhelpful. It's not even helpful to Israel. The average Israeli, they're at greater risk of getting hit with a mortar because of these sorts of things. But Netanyahu doesn't fucking worry. He doesn't have to worry about such things. He's under Iron Dome and stays away from the border, so he doesn't have to worry about that shit. I wonder if the Israeli citizens have kept that in mind. They're so constantly bombarded with paranoid, fear-mongering propaganda that, oh, the evil, everyone around you wants to show at you. Everyone around us wants to destroy us from off the face of the earth. And they can do it at any time if you don't re-elect Netanyahu. I wonder why they keep these parties in charge. You've got nuclear weapons. Nobody else around you does. What are you so fucking paranoid about? Why don't you just drop a bunker buster on Gaza and get it over with? Why doesn't Netanyahu just tell the world, yeah, it's my intent to just kill everybody in the region. I'm just going to drop an atomic weapon right in the middle of Gaza and we're going to reclaim the whole area and fuck him. Why doesn't he just be honest with people? Why doesn't he just be honest with the international community that that's really what he'd love to do? Oh yeah, that's right, the foreign aid might dry up if they don't maintain Gaza as an open-air prison, where they stress people out so much that there will inevitably be those who fire off some mortars and bottle rockets. That's what it's really about, ultimately. And then meanwhile, Hamas suppresses the Palestinian population. And every time there's a problem, their immediate reaction is to hurl explosives into Israel. Now, the other Palestinians would probably love to be left alone because they'd love all of that building material for themselves. The one claim Israel makes that's fundamentally right is the problem of Hamas within the region. Then you've got a boss. He's actually trying to reconcile everything. He's basically saying, I don't want to pay for Hamas's electrical bill anymore, so fuck them. Go ahead and turn the electricity off. It's just a clusterfuck of awful when you're looking at this region. That's about all. Peace out.